let's clarify some of the issues relating to the ceasefire mechanism here in Nagaland. Lots of, I would say, misinformed comments, views, and opinions have been published going around about the ceasefire mechanism, even at times by very higher ups. So I thought it would be appropriate to clarify some of the issues related to the ceasefire mechanism. I am Lieutenant General Amarjit Singh Devi. I have been associated with Nagaland in some capacity or the other since 1981, and more intimately or very closely uh, for the last 4 years almost, when I have taken over this appointment in September 2000. Just for the information of everybody, the government of India has signed the ceasefire agreement with 5 Naga groups over a period of time, and these groups are NACN IM in 1997, NACN Unification in 2012, NACN R in 2015, NACN Congo in 2019, and the last one, which was NACN Nikki in 2021. The ceasefire has been signed basically with the aim to usher in peace on the ground, so that the political discussions to resolve the Naga issue can move ahead in an atmosphere of trust, respect, and peaceful conditions which are prevalent on the ground. Uh, the ceasefire, for the information of everybody, has been signed incorporating elaborate ceasefire ground rules. All the Naga groups who have signed the ceasefire agreement with the government of India have committed to adhere to those ceasefire ground rules. Also, side by side, as the ceasefire mechanism goes on, to facilitate the implementation of the ceasefire, certain instruments in the form of designated camps, some of the ceasefire offices, and even ceasefire identity cards have been provided to these groups purely from the administrative convenience and administrative point of view, so that tasks related to the ceasefire mechanism and smooth follow-up of the ceasefire can go on. All these instruments and all these facilities which have been provided in no way, I repeat, in no way grant immunity to any of the groups to undertake violation of the ceasefire ground rules or carry out any unlawful activities. A ceasefire mechanism for Nagaland has been established by the government of India, basically to monitor and supervise adherence to the ceasefire ground rules. The ceasefire mechanism consists of representatives of the state government, Nagaland police, all the security agencies, the Ministry of Home Affairs, and also the ceasefire supervisory boards from all the groups which are in ceasefire with the government of India. I am the chairman of the ceasefire monitoring group and ceasefire supervisory board, as I said, since almost September 2000 for the last 4 years, and we see that the ceasefire ground rules are followed in letter and spirit by all the groups who have committed to the ceasefire agreement with the government of India. Regular meetings of the ceasefire monitoring group and ceasefire supervisory board are held to resolve any differing perceptions or points of confrontation on the ceasefire ground rules between the two sides which are there. And also, in addition, our office, that is the ceasefire monitoring office, continuously monitors the adherence to the ceasefire ground rules on day-to-day basis by both the sides, and we endeavor to resolve any conflicting situations as well as any differing perceptions between any of these parties, also on a day-to-day basis. The efficacy of this mechanism can be judged by you all in terms of the peace which has prevailed in Nagaland and for the last couple of years in terms of the the resolution of any of the conflicting situation so that they don't result into any violence and disturbance of the peaceful environment which is essential for carrying out the political negotiations to resolve the Naga issue. Also, I will now come down to the present imbroglio, which is there with between NSCN Khango and some of the agencies or civil society organizations which has been on for the last couple of days. Uh, though, of course, our office has not received any complaint from any of the parties, but we have definitely suo moto taken cognizance of all these media reports which have been going, and also some of the comments or issues which have been conveyed to us verbally by some of the parties which are there. Uh, the issue has been continuously monitored since it came out in the open media from the outset itself. The group, that is NSCN Khango, which is in ceasefire with the government of India, has been held accountable to all the ceasefire ground rules which they have uh, committed to follow. And uh, in writing, they have conveyed to our office. I have their written submission to all the queries raised by us that their group runs on purely voluntary contribution, and their statement to apprise uh, one of the affected parties of this complete conflict of the certain provisions of the Yejabo or the constitution which they follow may have been misconstrued as a life threat or a capital punishment. It is not their intention in any way to violate any of the ceasefire provisions, and in a written submission to our office, they have committed themselves once again to adherence to all the ceasefire ground rules. Meeting of the larger ceasefire supervisory board consisting of representatives of all the agencies, that is the state government, the security agencies, the NSN Khango group which was there, was also held today morning here at 11 o'clock, and the group in front of the larger forum also has once again committed themselves to adherence to the ceasefire ground rules, and have also assured the larger forum that this issue will be resolved by them in very early time frame. We have urged from our side and that this issue must not linger on, because it is in no way helpful to any of the parties, and they have committed to resolve this issue at the earliest. Uh, the issue will be regularly monitored, and we will see that the group continues to adhere to their commitment in the form of all the points of the ceasefire ground rules which they have agreed to. The ceasefire mechanism functions as a collective forum. While I may be the chairman of the ceasefire mechanism, I work as a chairman of a body which consists of members of various agencies out here. And it is a collective forum which strives to see that all contentious or conflicting issues relating to the ceasefire mechanism are resolved in an amicable manner, And the underlying principle always remains with us in this larger forum to also see that peaceful conditions continue to prevail in Nagaland, uh, so that the political negotiations do not get disturbed and they can at least go on in an environment of mutual trust and peaceful environment, so that solution to the whole problem can be found at the earliest. I will just read out some of the provisions of the ceasefire ground rules which have been signed by or between the government of India and the respective groups, and also it affects the larger aspect of the Naga society also, and that's why it needs to be one of the clauses of the ceasefire agreement says the NACN K Khango would refrain from blockade of roads and communication and from any activity which would disturb the functioning of local and state governments and of economic or development activities as well as essential services. Another clause also says the NACN K Khango will refrain from extortions, forcible collections of money and supplies, and intimidation of individuals, including government officials. So these are the provisions of the ceasefire ground rules which are there. And let me assure you, we hold all these groups accountable to their commitment in all these provisions which are contained in the ceasefire ground rules. And in this particular incident also, NSN Khango has been held accountable to violation of some of the ceasefire ground rules. And that is why they have in writing committed to us and also committed to us that it is not their intention to issue out any threats or anything to anybody which is there. It may have been misconstrued, or and they will endeavor to resolve the issue at the earliest in conjunction. Ultimately, I do agree it's a problem which has to be resolved by the people amongst themselves. But since the groups are accountable to the ceasefire mechanism for the ceasefire ground rules which they have committed to follow, they have been held responsible for those, and due to the efforts, I'm sure they will get in touch with the responsible people and resolve the issue at the earliest as per the satisfaction of all the sides. When the ceasefire agreement has been signed, all these groups have said that theirs is a people's organization. They represent the people here in discussions with the government of India. And like any government which is there, to sustain themselves, they will only take voluntary contributions. And that is like any other political party, like any other civil society organization, so many other things. So they have committed that since there is a people organization, they are the concerns of the agencies have been alleged that they do not force people and they do collect money, but that is a voluntary contribution to take further the cause of negotiations which are going on with the government of India. So, as far as the ceasefire ground rules are concerned, I have read out what is the ceasefire ground rules which say and what restrictions are imposed upon them. Over and above these, there are no ceasefire violations. They have told us that inadvertently there is no intention of theirs to violate the ceasefire ground rules because they are wanting to stay win ceasefire with the government of India, and their complete intention is to adhere to the ceasefire ground rules. But however, if there has been inadvertently or by misperception, misunderstanding, if there has been a perception that they have violated the ceasefire ground rules, then they will take corrective measures to see that this misperception is cleared, and they will meet the parties concerned and resolve the issue. The government of India accepts the ceasefire ground rules which has been signed. It is very clear that what government of India has committed to in the ceasefire ground rules and the ceasefire agreement between both sides. So let's restrict ourselves to these ceasefire ground rules to which both the parties have committed. While they may be following their own yejabo or anything, but if there is a violation of the ceasefire ground rules which they are committed to following, then that we consider it as a violation of the ceasefire ground rules, and the group will be held accountable. I am only mandated in terms of these are the guidelines between the government of India and the group. How does the group function internally? That is the business of the group. I have nothing to say or comment upon that. What we are concerned about is the commitments in terms of the ceasefire agreement which has been signed by the two parties to take forward the political negotiations, and we will adhere to the provisions of the ceasefire ground rule, and so does the other group. Their internal mechanism, I am not competent to comment upon them. That is their business, how they run their organization. We are hopeful that the concerned parties which are there will meet and clear this misperception which has been created, because the understanding of one party is different, the understanding of other party is different. So we are hopeful and that in very near future these both parties will meet. After all, it is a issue which they have to resolve. Both parties will meet and resolve. Our concern remains violation of the ceasefire ground rule, which we will not accept, and we will definitely make the group accountable to that violations if there are any. The police has definitely, the DGP was also there in the meeting today morning. The police have lodged a suo motu FIR because there also there has been no formal complaint, but all the same, since it is there, the police have lodged a suo motu FIR, and the police has also been requested to undertake investigation on the subject, and if there are people found guilty or violation of the ceasefire ground rules from after the police investigation, I'm sure the police will take action as per the provisions of the law against these people.